Curt Cignetti says $40 million is getting thrown around right here in the Big Ten. That and whether or not Michigan State is making a bowl game, all on today's Locked On Big Ten Squad.
You're talking ball with the Big Ten Squad, sponsored by Game Time. From USC to Ohio State, from Michigan to Oregon, from Nebraska to Washington, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big Ten weekend. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up, you're part of the Big Ten Squad.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Big Ten Squad. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans is here. How about that? All it took to get him here was to talk about his team, which will come later on. Ryan Herrings, Locked On Badgers. Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers. Jay Stevens, Locked On Buckeyes. I'm out of breath. I don't usually have to say this many names. Roman Tomashoff, Locked On Hawkeyes. Mark Colkin, Locked On USC. Zach Seka, Locked On Nittany Lions. All here for this week on the Big Ten Squad, so get ready to enjoy. Goins, it was your coach with the big quote who threw the $40 million number around being spent. I mean, certainly he's not talking about Indiana, right?
No, we have good NIL funds, but we do still have a basketball program, unlike many of you in this call. And so we put money towards the sport that we like to win. And we are putting more money towards football, but that $40 million money or mark didn't really come from nowhere. It's not a fake number that he just came up with. It's because he knows what he's going up against. And I'm not complaining. I'm not going against it. He's just speaking facts, and that's what Curt Cignetti does.
Yeah, that is all he does. And all Indiana basketball did this year was miss the tournament. But keep throwing shade at the hoops programs
Not
that
anymore.
are
Not
represented here today. Yeah, all right. I've heard
That's
that one
okay.
before.
You can do that. That's fine.
Yeah. Let's get back to a nice clockwise order here. Sheehan, is there anything about $40 million that sounds insane to you? Or, I mean, Michigan State they're not broke up there in East Lansing, right? $40 million. He's clearly talking about the Spartans, right?
Yeah, no, we yawn at $40 million in East Lansing. That is nothing up around these parts. No, it's the weird spot because, like, I feel kind of like Jacob right now. Like, Michigan State, it's not like we're on the corner begging for change. Like, we're doing okay. Nick Marsh didn't come back for his sophomore year for no reason. It's not because he just loves crunchies and their burgers a lot. No, he's being taken care of. We got some guys being taken care of, but, man, 40 large ones. My goodness gracious, as if it wasn't hard enough to just try to win on the field. But in the offseason, with that kind of money, it just really feels like the hole's getting big for us guys. So we're trying our best, but yeah, I'll be scrounging around my couch cushions and looking for Kansas.
Why are we beating around the bush with this? Why are we Oregon and Ohio State were the alleged teams? Why are we beating around the bush with this?
Penn State's not far off. Let's not get crazy here.
They weren't included. It was Oregon, Ohio
There's
State.
$39 million. Penn State
They're way off.
They made the Cignetti cut, so yeah, good for them. Savvy.
Seko, I blame our neutral arbiter of college football up over
Whoa. This is hurtful.
He's like $40 million. Let's ask Michigan State.
Yeah, the RCA is wondering why the whole block is on fire right now.
What happened here? I'm just trying to do a thorough investigation of where this money could be coming from.
We're all trying to find the guy who's responsible for this.
Spencer, can of gas in one hand, matches in the other. Why is this house on fire right now? What's going on? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
and hey, Jay Stevens of Locked On Buckeyes says what?
Yeah. You poor people can't hang with me, he says.
The NCAA, I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm going to say the NCAA is not governing anything. You're not following any rules. And so if it is true that there's $40 million, this is what happens when you let the people that have the money control things going on in college football.
Yeah. No, I like Jay's take. That's a good one. Herrings, you look like you're eager to weigh in here.
Jeez, Spencer.
Yeah, like
the entire left side of the screen's having a great time tonight. And that is the poor people on the right side. Hello.
I'm kind of like, who cares? You tell me the rich people are spending rich people money? Of course they are. Like, this is like arguing in baseball that the Dodgers are spending money, that the Yankees are rich. They always are. This is no different than it's ever been. Has the gap gotten bigger? Sure. Ohio State has always outspent Wisconsin by $20 million in recruiting budgets, facilities, coaching salaries, all sorts of nonsense. Like this really isn't that crazy. The rich people spend money. That's how it is in every facet of American life. And honestly, maybe some of those other schools should advocate more for our schools to spend more money to be competitive. Like, there's this fallacy that you have to get mad at the bigger schools trying to be as competitive as they can be. I wish Wisconsin would spend more to compete at that highest level. It's not an Ohio State, Oregon problem. They're taking advantage of a free market system in the way they should. If Wisconsin was a blue blood brand, I would want them to do the same doggone thing. So the rich people spend rich people money. It's how it works everywhere.
Can I ask a question? Can I come in my first squad in like 4 months and hijack the show already?
100%. I'm going to allow that so that Roman doesn't have to speak.
Yeah,
what a generous man. Oh, wow. I'm in the driver's seat now.
Oh.
You just went around the
quick question. So what number would shock you then? If 40 million isn't the one where your eyes are popping out of your head like a cartoon dog, what is the number then?
Well, why
would
stop
take
at 40?
you back?
Why stop at 40? Ryan, can I push back on what you're saying here? Because where's the competitive balance at all? Because
where's it ever been, though? Where has it ever been?
I mean, he has a good point. He has a good point. People in the South have been spending money all for decades. No one knows how much Georgia, Florida State, Miami, nobody knows how much money they spent in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. No one knows because NIL wasn't a thing. All you knew was they were spending money, they were winning championships. I'm with Ryan on this one too.
You see what happens when USC starts to play the game that Oregon and Miami have been playing. They've been laying in the weeds. Now they're saying, you know what? We got rich people. Watch us play. How's recruiting going up in Oregon right now compared to USC?
Well, I heard from.
I'd love to hear more about this as well.
Yeah, I heard from someone who covers Oregon, which I definitely do not because I am neutral arbiter of all things college football. It's been a slow stretch, but I heard from someone that Oregon's 7 highest rated recruits of last year's cycle had not committed on this date a year ago. So that's the positive spin.
A year ago, USC wasn't flashing their wallet. So that's the difference between last year and this year.
So interesting. So now USC is back in the camp of like being all in with money and everything is okay. I hope I never hear anything from USC fans about buying players and whatnot. Hope I never hear it.
USC wanted to kind of get a feel, kind of see which direction the things were trending. They have a pretty good idea how the whole, player compensation is going to work, the NIL cap, all that coming. So they said, all right. We watched, we figured it out. This is the way it's going. We're all in now. So yeah, you're not going to hear from us ever again. We just, we kind of play chess with it. And now you see what happens when USC is the chess master.
Yeah, a strategic rollback of the program for 2 years. It was all 4-dimensional chess.
They had to make sure the money was there.
Yes, Los Angeles, notably lacking funds in the greater area. Roman, I know you love more than anything opining on financial matters in college sports. So go ahead.
There are a whole bunch of things here where Jay does make a good point when this is something that has always been going on. Spencer, by the way, that still doesn't mean you can buy a national championship. I know that that's not something that's happening at Oregon. So, that's.
See how flat that landed?
Yeah, you have no response because your team can't win national championships no matter how much they're spending on their roster.
Can't win in any sport ever or just football?
Just the one that everybody seems to care about more than anything else.
Basketball is a sport. Basketball is a sport.
No, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. You see, it does.
This year's Final Four, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anyway, Roman, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but it's something where, like, I look at it from a Washington perspective, where Washington has certainly found a way to get involved in the NIL game, where flipping Oregon's top recruit and 5-star offensive tackle Cody Green, going out and getting the number 1 player in the state of Washington, 4-star edge rusher Derek Coleman-Brusa. They've found ways to get involved in NIL on a regular basis. You don't go get the number 1 transfer portal, a cornerback in Tacario Davis, if you don't have the money to throw around and invest in the trenches, where we all know that the majority of this money is going to offensive line and defensive line, outside of quarterbacks, obviously. So it's one of those things where the more I look at it, the more I'm just curious to see when the salary cap gets involved, and we do put a cap on all this, on how it's going to balance out from the Oregons and the Ohio States to the, no offense, Sheehan, the Michigan States of the world, and see how just those two things will even out.
The shot at Sheehan there was so uncalled for, given they were recently paying a head coach $9.5 million a year. Like, oh man, you guys broke as hell up there in East Lansing. Sorry to bring up money right now. Like, oh man, goodness gracious. Seka, put a cap on this first segment of the squad.
So I guess that's how we're playing it, is because everyone's fine with, well, if Ohio State, if Oregon, if it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Put whatever school. If it ends up being USC, oh, well, they have $50 million to spend. They have $60 million to spend. Well, they have the money, so they might as well do it. Okay, then, yeah, eventually you are going to be able to buy your way to a national title. And I might sound very, traditionalist, I guess, if I say that, I like the integrity of the sport. The salary cap or anything like that, the revenue sharing doesn't change any of this. This is strictly because of NIL. You have the 16 million or whatever that you can put towards from the revenue sharing towards football. And then you have unlimited NIL, and who's to say that, oh, okay, you can't, control the endorsements, or who's to say that you can't pay this player $3, $4, $5, $6 million in NIL? It's not like baseball, because baseball has a more equal revenue share. All right, the schools aren't all sharing revenue with each other.
Whoa. What about baseball is equal? There is no salary cap in baseball.
But I'm saying that teams have the money to spend. Not every school has money to spend the way that Ohio State and Oregon, fortunately for most of the teams in the conference, yeah, it's about 20, 25, $30 million. So that's what Penn State's situation is. But my point is that, okay, well, Major League Baseball has no salary cap. But they all share revenue as a league. The Big Ten, aside from the media rights deal, Ohio State isn't sharing revenue with Washington. Oregon's not sharing revenue with Michigan State.
Well,
yeah, see, can you?
Please do.
We are not
poor. I want the record
to show. Okay.
Sorry,
a number of interesting points. More coming on that note, Seko. Do we need an NIL salary cap? That debate and more coming up next on the Locked On Big Ten Squad. First, this episode brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game, except maybe a college football game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals save you up to 60%. I've used Game Time for a sporting event. I've used it for a comedy show. It was great. The all-in pricing, maybe my favorite feature on Game Time, means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. That is awesome. Mentally, for me, game changer. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off, and download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, so Seko, on the revenue sharing, and there's no revenue share. If you go to the media rights contract, actually, Northwestern is getting the same amount of money from the media deal as Ohio State. So in that regard, yes, the revenue that Ohio State and Michigan and others generate is getting shared with the rest of the conference.
But they can't. It's not like they can use it. They can only use $16 million. I'm saying you have
it's 20, but yeah.
You can devote 16. It's a percentage, because the other percentages have to go to men's basketball, women's basketball, and whatever else. So I think every school is allowed to devote up to like 16.3. Don't quote me on that, but it's around that number. But Ohio State has all of these, like, good for them. That's fine. Since there are no rules, play the game. But I'm saying that, okay, well, let's compare it to Major League Baseball and this and that. There's luxury taxes. Again, there's the media rights deals that the Major League Baseball teams have, they can use to putting together a good team. Northwestern can only use around $17 million if they want to, which they should choose to. But after that, there isn't this influx of uncontrollable cash where nobody says, you can't do that. You can't spend this much, because Ohio State, the only reason that they allegedly stop at 40 million is because that's what I don't like about this is this college football is basically becoming who can crowdfund the most. Who is the best at fundraising? And is that really how we want to play this sport?
I think it's a big component of it. I don't know that it's entirely about it. Ask Texas or Oregon or Texas A&M or a lot of other schools that haven't won a national championship ever or within the last 15 years, whether or not it just takes money. I'm not saying money doesn't matter.
But all you have to do is have money to pay a good coach who can actually win games. You're referring to Jimbo Fisher, who sucks, and Texas, who's rotated through coaches. But all it took was Ryan Day, who I don't even think is all that good of a coach, but all he had to do was have the most expensive roster, and he won a national championship.
Okay, but that's not the first time he's had one of the most expensive rosters in college football.
Well, you're going to luck into one eventually. Yeah.
It keeps you there. Eventually, if you're around, if you have the best roster, eventually you're going to break through. Because try telling that to Tulane is never going to be relevant. They try, they're good, they're a top 25 team, but they're never going to see this. How is Tulane supposed to compete with Ohio State if they get in, say they get into the 12-team playoff, sneak in as a 12 seed or something like that, and then it's the $45 million roster against Tulane's $17-18 million team.
But how were they ever going to compete against Ohio State? They weren't doing that in 2000. They weren't doing that in 1990. They weren't doing that in 1980, 1970.
Never be able to.
When could Tulane in particular ever beat a big brand program in a major bowl game? When could it ever happen,
That's why
Mark?
I thought it was fair to bring it up.
It's a very good point. Hey, Mark.
Despite the shot there, this is why Tulane probably is not going to be part of this conversation when college football makes this shift that they're going towards. You're going to have a league of 60 teams. Tulane's not going to be part of this conversation. So who really cares? It's not like, Appalachian State isn't going to roll into Michigan and beat Michigan someday. Those games are gone. This is the last. We're seeing
that's my point.
Pretty bad games. I'm sorry?
That's more or less my point, is that it's going to be the same 12 teams every single season.
We're talking about all these numbers. Once this monumental shift that we're going through finally comes to fruition, there's going to be a commissioner. All these NIL deals that we're all, upset about, there's actually going to be a clearinghouse for them. You got to prove that somebody's making $4 million for a reason. You can't just write the check anymore.
At some point, yeah. I mean, we could get there.
Man.
There is a committee or an effort being made by the federal government right now to look into all these sorts of things to see how it could all break down. I keep running the Moneyball scene through my head, which is kind of my entire life, frankly. There are rich teams, and then there are poor teams. And then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us. Speaking of the us, Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers. In this new world,
that's so not true, but go ahead.
Whether or not it's true is irrelevant to the punchline of the joke. That's just not in any way relevant there.
Go ahead.
If you look at the prospect of this new world, would you want to see a salary cap on NIL? And by the way, this may surprise some people. I would 100% support it because I am a big baseball fan, and I don't begrudge the Dodgers for doing what they're doing. I begrudge the system that allows them to do that. Because if my team were in that position, which they're not because the Mariners owner is a cheap ass, I would want my team to act that same way. Go all in. But I do think that for the betterment of the sport, having a cap there can be a good thing. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there just needs to be, the NFL has it. That's why there's a good, healthy rotation of teams in the playoffs. There's a good, healthy rotation of teams that make a run. Sure, there are some that dominate because you have the greatest of all time on your team. Okay, good for you. But there needs to be some sort of a cap, yes. And it doesn't have to be just the one flat rate that everybody has to follow, but there could be a little flexibility, I guess, but not a whole lot. And baseball is an example of you can spend the most, but you do have to have a good coach and good players with talent to actually win. The Yankees haven't won a World Series in a long time, people. They spend a lot of money. So I see both sides, but yes, there needs to be a cap. There needs to be a goal number. If you can reach it, great. If not, then that's something you got to figure out within your own program.
The happiest moments of this show for Roman have been bringing up his two biggest rivals not winning championships.
Roman
just sitting there like, yeah, that's right. You guys didn't do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Forget what my teams did. You guys didn't do it.
Spencer, you like to deflect like Washington hasn't won more New Year's Six games in the last 10, 15 years than
what does that even mean anymore, man? New Year's Six.
You know what? That's a fair point.
I mean, honestly,
more playoff
I hate
games
it, but
too.
it's true. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Wow,
Oregon and Ohio State are never going to take a step back from natural attrition.
Doesn't matter anymore. Crazy that all the stuff that helped college football elevate itself to this status, none of that matters anymore. Pardon me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Someone can bleep that out.
But, oh no!
You can do that.
Editing
Oh,
is good.
The fact that teams that haven't been to the Rose Bowl since 1967 have the audacity to make those types of comments, that says something about today's society, how they view things. Sorry.
That anybody could leap forward and have a chance if they just commit and make the right decision. I don't think that's entirely bad.
He pretty much discounted it. New Year's Day bowls don't matter anymore.
They don't. If you're not in the playoff, you're out of the playoff. It's either make the playoff or you're.
Well, the New Year's Six Bowls are the playoff games.
Yeah, but it used to be.
That's not my point. So those semifinal games are going to be played around that time, or the quarterfinals on New Year's Day. They don't matter. Is that your argument, Jacob?
No, the fact of the matter is that used to be you're either in the national championship, you make a New Year's Six Bowl, or you make any other bowl game. Now you either make the college football playoff or you don't. Nobody considers it a New Year's Six Bowl anymore. That's an old term. That's a decade-old term that doesn't mean anything anymore. You're either in the playoff or you're out.
If anything, the 12 to 14 opportunities kind of cheapens the playoff thing, because are there really 14 teams worthy of a championship?
Look at that. Mark and I agree on something again. Playoff expansion was a waste of time.
But again, if you're not in,
sooner than later.
If you're not in, you're out. Nobody cares about making the Pop-Tart Bowl. Nobody cares about making the cheese.
Whoa!
I
don't know about
I would absolutely care about
Okay, what's your problem? What's your issue? Yeah.
Cohen's is just on a bender here.
And I'm not saying that about Indiana. I'm saying that across college football. It's seen as a non-successful season if you don't make a playoff, especially if it gets expanded.
I would kill to go to the First Responders Bowl or the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Okay.
I'm starving for any bowl game over here, man. You don't tell
normally,
me that the Pop-Tart Bowl doesn't matter. That means everything
Jacob,
if they make it
of all the bowl games you could have listed as no one cares about going to these anymore, how did you go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl? That's like the best opportunity. If you're not in the playoff, that's the game everyone would want to go to. If
Spencer,
your
do you want to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl?
If my team's not in the playoff, you're damn right I want to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I'm attending that game in person.
You're disappointed because you're not in the playoff.
Well, sure.
Not every team starts the year with playoff aspirations. That's kind of silly to say. If you don't get the playoffs, there's 134 teams in college football. Only 12 can end the year where they're like, oh, we did okay. If you go 8-4 and you make the Pop-Tarts Bowl and you get that brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart, bro, for some teams that didn't make a bowl game last year, that will work this year. That's okay.
Yeah. Jay, real quick, your thoughts on the Pop-Tarts Bowl before we take a pause?
I want nothing to do with the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Look at this guy, just raining on everybody's fun college football parade because the Pop-Tarts Bowl has quickly become an institution with a mascot so iconic. It transcends the sport. It goes beyond what should be considered fun and enjoyable. That's my stance on the Pop-Tarts. Goins out here just slandering an American institution. All right, well,
terrible.
We're going to talk about real football here. It's the only reason Sheehan actually showed up. Michigan State to a bowl game. It's them or Wisconsin, right? That's coming your way next. First, this episode brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Not bad. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Check them out at Amazon Fire TV. All right, Sheehan, we promised, and we will deliver upon that promise. All 8 of us here in the chat have to take a stand on Michigan State over under 5.5 wins. So, Matt, you get to go first. Is Aiden Childs leading Jonathan Smith to the promised land?
I think the floor has been raised on paper this year. Now, let me be very clear. When I say over 5.5 wins, I'm not saying that we are just going to skip our way to Pasadena and we are back in those illustrious bowl games that we were talking about earlier. No. I think it's going to be 7-5. But for the first time in 3 years, yes, I do think Michigan State can get to a bowl game. The schedule sets up a little friendlier than it did last year. And also, year 2 under Jonathan Smith, everyone knows the system. I think there will be a little bit of a floor raised. If you guys want the half-hour version of that answer, tune in, Locked on Spartans. Your team included like 5 days a week.
What a plug.
But
That's
I'll
a
let you guys talk about this. Thanks, man. I'm just trying to be like you guys, you know?
Yeah. Herrings, your Wisconsin Badgers do not face Michigan State this year. How much does that elate you, worry you that you don't have a win? Like, your take.
It makes me sad because that means Sheehan and I don't have a crossover. I did a podcast with him the other day. Like when we did a basketball one, my dad was like, "God, he's my favorite guy on Locked on Badgers." I'm like,
Paid him to say that.
Me.
Yep.
After me, like that. He's like, oh. So
Wow.
I like the crossovers, but I'm taking the over as well. I think Smith's a real coach. You look at what he's done, his track record there at places that aren't difficult to win in, or that are hard to win in. I mean, over 5.5. You look at, there's a theory I have. They go to, the Penn State and Michigan at home. Your 2 toughest games are probably at home. They could potentially split that. I think they get 6 or 7 wins. I trust the coach. I think Childs is better in the second year here with that coach and that offense coordinator as well. I'm going 6 or 7. I'm taking the over. Let's go, Sparty.
Seka, you hear that? Herrings has got you on upset alert traveling to East Lansing. You just gonna let him spew that sort of stuff?
No, I actually want to look at the schedule and have a nuanced take on this. So
this is the Big Ten squad. Nuance is not encouraged.
Yeah, much so. Yeah. We appreciate it, though.
Western Michigan, Youngstown State, UCLA, Maryland. I don't know that they're beating Boston College. They're certainly not beating Indiana, Michigan, Penn State. Minnesota's maybe a toss-up. They're not beating USC. They're not beating Nebraska. Where are your 6 wins coming from?
I counted Boston College, and what was the other one you gave as a toss-up right there? Was that Minnesota's a toss-up?
Minnesota?
Yeah. So I think Western, Boston College, Youngstown, and then UCLA. I don't hate that one. And then Minnesota. And then we end at Ford Field. Storied Michigan State campus landmark, Ford Field, to end the season. That's 6 right there, baby. So, boy, we got house money after those games right there. Those are big wins.
That's an airtight line.
UCLA got mentioned. Nico should restart the whole show and just go back.
To Nico. Oh, wow. Shoot.
Yeah. You clearly don't watch Locked On College Football, weeb. Goins, 5.5. Spartans over, under. Go.
Look, I'm going to take them to win their first 3. I'm going to take them to go on the road and easily beat USC because, reasons.
Thank you.
Nebraska probably not.
Good
They
start.
probably won't take down Nebraska. They have a chance against UCLA at home. I'm curious on what UCLA looks like at that point. They're not coming to Bloomington and winning. They might beat Michigan at home because I don't trust Michigan more than I trust Michigan State. So maybe upset alert there. Down the stretch, Sheehan, I'll give you guys the win at Minnesota. Seko won't, but I'll do it. I will do it for you, my friend, for you. Wow. They may lose out at that point, but hey, you're already
Don't
on
say
track.
that. Well, no.
You're going to lose out? Jacob, they closed with Maryland.
Well. Yeah, Maryland.
I'm just,
Ford Field. Come on.
I'm just saying, I don't believe in Maryland, but I'm not sold on Michigan State either. I don't know. I'll take the over, but it will be risky down the stretch.
If they lose to end the season at Maryland with a bowl game on the line, that you'll never see me again. Like, I'll just become a new person with a new career somewhere in DePaul. I'll be a Sherpa guiding people up to Mount Everest for my new lifestyle.
Look, other than October 18th, I'm cheering for you, my friend. I am. I'm cheering for you.
This is the nicest group of people I've ever come by in my entire life. Wow.
Don't worry. There's more to go. There's more.
Yeah.
There's 3 more? Okay, great.
Sheehan, before I get to Jay Stevens, what was the name of that kicker who did the The wheeling
That
celebration.
would be one Michael Geiger. That's,
Yeah, Michael Geiger. Yeah. So Jay, before you make your pick, let the spirit of Michael Geiger move through you.
You want me to
Just
leave?
like he moved that ball through the uprights.
Forget that guy. I am with Sheehan on this one. I'm going with the over. First 3 games should be wins. Beating Maryland should be easy. Beating UCLA should be easy. That's 5. If you mean to tell me that with the rest of the games Michigan State has, they can't get one more win, I would think you're crazy. I absolutely think they can do it. I believe this is a step in the right direction. I might lose my mind if Michigan State beats Michigan this year. I need that bad because for some reason
you need it.
Yeah, because you've had so few things to root for in the last 6 months. You guys have just been down bad.
Miserable in Columbus.
Yeah, it's misery for Ohio State fans. So, yeah, I'm empathizing with you there big time. Big time, Jay. Roman, the Michigan State-Washington connection is an interesting one because this is the program that really catapulted Washington into the national scene a couple of years ago in the greatest trap line that I can ever remember. Washington against number 11 Michigan State in Seattle, and Washington's favored by 3.5. And that was when I first learned that Vegas is never wrong.
Correct.
Yeah, that was a wonderful game. So Sheehan, thank you for that. I will take the over strictly based on that. I think Jay made a lot of really great points when it comes to some of these Big Ten games. UCLA, Minnesota, Maryland. I have those all chalked up as wins, plus the out-of-conference stuff. So right there, you got your 6. Spencer, it's just great you want to come back to me after you just totally glossed over, my take on an NIL salary cap in the previous segment, even though, Jay gets to make a point about how great it is if Michigan State beats Michigan. But when I talk about Oregon losing, that's the line on this show from the neutral arbiter of college football we have here.
Lines in the sand have to be drawn somewhere.
No, absolutely not. Sheehan, love you, buddy. I got the over.
I would have.
I love all you guys so
called
far.
on you, Roman. I would have called on you. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Jacob.
I would have given you your time.
Yeah.
Can I stop really quick? I just want to make the Vegas is never
for like
wrong
the
thing.
7th time today. Yeah, go ahead, Sheehan.
It's a low number for me today. I'm still working my way back into these squad shows here. I'll get to double digits next time. But just speaking of Vegas, they're never wrong. I love what I'm hearing in this year about, oh my God, Michigan State's going to go over from all you fine strapping gentlemen out there. But the other ear is telling me, oh boy, you guys are suckers. This means one thing and one thing only. 3-9 coming down the barrel to East Lansing. So, Mark, do you want to cut against the grain here by any chance?
Save the graphic, Mark. Save the graphic.
How's this going to go?
So I got Michigan State going. They're coming to LA 3-0. By the time they get to Bloomington, Indiana, let's say they're going to be 4-2.
Okay.
They're going to get to Michigan at 5-2.
Okay.
Another win after that. They're going over.
God, this is great. I also hate this, but I love this. This is awesome.
I know. It's the am I supposed to be confident about my team? Am I supposed to stake my emotional well-being in the success of a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds? Am I supposed to do it?
MSU 21, triple overtime at Ford Field.
By the way,
5 and 7 is
every
like
4
a cannon
years,
to the chest.
Every 4 years or so, Jonathan Smith will assemble a roster that is able to do something. This might be his time right now.
Why not now?
Why not? Aiden Childs, 3rd year of college football, 2nd year starting. Sheehan, I would love to be save the graphics guy, but here's the problem that I'm running into. I agree with Mark. They start 3-0. I think they beat UCLA at home. I think they beat Maryland because they're a better team. That's 5 wins right there that I'm almost ready to put in Sharpie. So you're telling me they have to win 1 of Minnesota, who everybody's overlooking here, Nebraska, which is on the road, USC, at Iowa. I actually think there's real value here on Michigan State over 5.5. So when Sheehan is emotionally crushed come November 29th, when they lose to Maryland to go 5-7 and we never see him again, we'll all know that it was our fault. We will be liable in a civil court for the emotional damage inflicted.
I'm just mad this wasn't a basketball conversation. Over 5.5 wins in basketball, Sheehan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm mad it wasn't.
He just won the conference championship. What are you talking about?
Goins taking the basketball shots after coming up just short of the tournament.
New season. Hey, we were robbed for what it's worth.
That's fair. That is fair. Yeah.
We missed it and we fired our coach and it's a new era. We're fine.
Exactly. All right, we can wrap the squad right there. I hope we get 8 guys. again every week. Matt Sheehan, Locked On Spartans. Ryan Herrings, Locked On Badgers. Zach Seka, Locked On Nittany Lions. Jacob Goins, Locked On Hoosiers. Jay Stevens, Locked On Buckeyes. Roman Tomashoff, Locked On Huskies. Mark Colkin, Locked On USC with a Rose Bowl shirt from the 18th century. I'm Spencer McLaughlin of Locked On Whatever. That's this week on the Big Ten Squad. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.